Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Sit Around the Fire. I'm your host, Ashlea Dillard, a therapist, hypnotherapist, and former first responder. This is a place where we have real conversations. These are conversations happening around mental health, healing, and stepping into who you really are meant to be. In this episode, I sat down with Ty Gipson, whose story is an incredible reminder of what it means to face adversity head-on and come out so much stronger on the other side. Diagnosed with juvenile diabetes at a very young age, Ty has navigated kidney failure, organ transplants, and some of life's most challenging moments. Through it all, he has chosen resilience, growth, and purpose. In this dynamite of a conversation, we talk about mindset, the power of small steps, and what it really looks like to keep going when life puts up a wall in front of you. Ty shares how finding your why, leaning into support, and even using humor can shift everything, and why the other side of adversity might hold more than you ever imagined. Now, if you've ever felt stuck, overwhelmed, or question whether you have what it takes to move forward, this is going to be the episode for you. So without further ado, let's get it. Welcome back, everybody, to Sit Around the Fire, the podcast where we share epic stories and lessons and really embrace the side of community and learning. I am excited to bring you a special guest today, Ty Gipson. He is joining us from just outside of Austin, Texas, but I'm really, really honored and so grateful for you to be here on our show. So welcome to the show, Ty.
Well, thank you. I'm excited to be here. So thank you for allowing me to do this.
Absolutely, yes. Well, as we kick into the show, my famous first line question is always, for that individual who's listening to our conversation today, what is the most important thing that you want them to hear from you, that you want them to walk away with?
Well, that is a great lead. And I love that because my mission is to encourage people through adversity. And I know that's a very broad statement, but we can really take down just a couple of small steps because it just takes little steps, as you know, each day for us to achieve goals and whatever that looks like. So today, I really hope that I just encourage people that whatever adversity they're dealing with today, it's well worth the fight, and give them a couple of tools to be able to get through the adversity they deal with. So I hope that's what they leave with today, and I'm excited to kind of share my story and then share my steps of procedures, and I hope it will help them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, we find that connection in the commonality, and so we've all walked through adversity or difficult
Absolutely.
seasons. So, yeah, you are hit it on the head. They're gonna walk away with more tools to do that. So,
Yes.
so
Good.
let's dive into your story, so that
Okay.
because I know your story is basically like shaped the framework for what you do now and kind of what your work is. So let's just go right into it. Tell us about like how you came to where you are now and the journey you've been on.
Well, absolutely. So it goes way back, and I was talking before we started recording. It's a long story, so I try to get it in a little quicker frame. But when I was 8, I was diagnosed with juvenile diabetes, type 1 diabetes. And at the time, now this was I'm going to show my age here a little bit. This was way before um, technology, and this was in the 70s, right? I mean, juvenile diabetes. I mean, I had brittle diabetes, so it was very out of control diabetes is probably the best way to put it. And so, I mean, but my parents, and this is really kind of where my mindset option is where I came up with the no options mindset. Because as a kid, my parents were one of them that says, Todd, get up, dust it off, you'll be all right, keep going, don't worry about things. You know, my dad would, put a Band-Aid on it, be fine, go, you're all right. And I grew up with that mindset. And at the time I wasn't real happy with that because I always sometimes felt like, man, really? But I'm so thankful back then that my parents taught me that type of mindset because it really equipped me for what was ahead in my journey, right? And so with juvenile diabetes, I fought it for several years. At the age of 10, they finally brought me to some specialists that said, hey, this is out of control. Well, at the time, they were working on, in Houston, Texas, they were working on a machine that was used for chemotherapy that they put insulin in a syringe pump and they would started and they would use it for chemotherapy, but they tried it with insulin for diabetics. And so I was one of the first to do this research, which was really cool. So I spent a lot of time at Texas Children's, the research floor over there, and we worked on this instant syringe pump. It was a pound 9 ounces. So I was walking around with this
My
box. It was
gosh.
like a it was a box. But again, my parents said, just keep going, keep going. And so I mean, it was wild, but I mean, they would try different things to get my blood sugar level, work with food and all these things. So we went through that for years and I went through multiple pumps over the years, multiple. And the insulin pumps got smaller, better technology to now you probably everybody on here knows someone that wears an insulin pump. Or they may not even realize they do because it's such a small, but there's a ton of those out there and the technology has become amazing. But it was really neat to be on the front end of that kind of research level. So let's fast forward though to when I was 30. My kidneys, I got really tired and sick. I went in and the doctor said, your kidneys are failing. And I was like, what does that mean? And so we went through the process and he said, hey, you actually need a transplant. He said, but here's the problem. You got such brittle diabetes that if we just keep transplanting, these kidneys, your diabetes is going to just keep, destroying them basically. So he said, but here's the thing, Ty. There's doing some research in Baltimore, Maryland, where there's a doctor that's doing a dual transplant, a pancreas and a kidney at the same time.
Whoa.
So he said, you may be a candidate for that, but we don't know. He said, we'd have to just try to find out. So anyway, we find out, I go to Baltimore and I am a candidate. So now let's just frame this up. Actually, I got to I got to get on a waiting list for a pancreas because the pancreas comes from a deceased donor. And then a kidney can be from a living donor or a deceased donor. In my case, my mother, who was 60 at the time, said, Ty, if I can donate my kidney, then I want to be the one that donates the kidney.
Oh.
And she said, God gave us 2 kidneys and I feel like that's my duty. And so she tested and my mother tested perfectly.
Oh
So
man.
so now I'm on a waiting list for the pancreas, right? So I got my mom's ready and I'm waiting on the call. And so we do blood work every week. And it's really hard because I was just exhausted. I mean, barely, I continue to work, but it was very, very difficult. It was very difficult. So anyway, this is when it got really cool. It was Super Bowl Sunday, um, of 1999. I'd go to bed at 6 in the afternoon, even because I just didn't try to make it through the day. But I get a call at midnight, and they said, "Hey, there's been an accident. There's a pancreas that matches you. It looks like it's going to be the right donor. We need to get you mobilized to get you guys headed to Baltimore." And we do. And my mother, who lived 5 hours from me, of all times, and this is kind of crazy, my mother doesn't answer the phone, and I'm like, "Night." But anyway, we connected. We connected, and everybody got there. We got ready, but it's kind of like the movies. Actually, I mean, you run, hustle, and then you wait. And then we got all the testings and getting the blood, getting me prepared. Now in the surgical room, I'm in the middle. We have a team working on the organ, and then we have a team prepping my mother to get her kidney out. And it was just an amazing process. 16 hours later, um, I get out of the surgery and my mother's sitting beside my bed already. She was in a wheelchair sitting there. Um, and I will tell you, it was absolutely amazing because even though I was on a lot of meds, I could see different colors in my skin and I didn't realize how sick I had gotten. from
Uh,
the kidney failure. And then the other cool thing was the doctor said when they were sewing up my mother's kidney, it started working, which caused problems because it started, and which is amazing too, because a lot of times those things might take weeks sometimes before they even start working. So the fact that it just started working immediately was amazing to me. Um, so anyway, we get through that, and it was a really hard road. I mean, it was for the first year of the recovery. I mean, when I came out of surgery after surgery, I was taking 60 plus pills a day.
oof.
So a lot of them are anti-rejection, but then a lot of them are for the side effects, and I mean, just so on and so on. I mean, it was just multiple things of medication, and it was just hard to regulate. You gotta think about it, your body's trying to naturally fight off whatever this going on in your body and so it was just the meds had to try to get regulated to handle all that. So we went through that for a year, and they kept saying, "Ty, just get through a year. After a year, it's gonna be amazing." But here was the thing that was really I had a 6-year-old daughter at the time. There was 4 they've had 4 of these surgeries had gone with this team that I was working with, and 2 of them did not work.
Wow.
So, I mean, I had a 50-50 shot really going into that surgery, whether I was gonna come out or not. So, leaving that 6-year-old daughter, was just I mean, it was really a hard I mean, I didn't when I packed my bags that night, I didn't know if I was coming home, so it was a really hard time, just mentally to get through it and just to try to think about but the challenge was if I didn't do it, I mean, I was gonna be living on dialysis and I was gonna be, and I didn't want that lifestyle because I wouldn't be able to spend any quality time with my daughter. So the option was to let's get the organs and let's have a great, let's get this transplant working and be able to live a more normal life. And so that was a big hard time, but I got through it. It was amazing. And let me say, I the kidneys and pancreases don't last forever. Organs don't last forever. But what the cool thing was my pancreas lasted for 12 years. So for
Wow.
12 years, I didn't have diabetes.
Wow.
So people think, well, hold on, is there a a cure for diabetes? Well, when your pancreas produces insulin. So when they transplanted, I just naturally started getting insulin, and so it was really amazing. For 12 years. And then my mother's kidney lasted for 20 years.
Wow.
So in
Wow.
2019, my kidney started failing again. Start Now, I want to stop there because here's part of the story is who- somebody made a decision to be an organ donor that saved my life. And I'm very thankful. I never have had the honor to meet the family. Um, but somebody made a decision to donate their organ, and it saved my life. And I'll tell you, because of that, I was able to get married. After that, I was able to adopt my daughter, a second daughter, and then I was able to my wife and I was able to open up a business. And so one of the things I talk about is just on the other side of adversity is some really amazing things. We just got to sometimes that wall looks too big to climb.
Mhm.
I wanna encourage whoever's listening out there is that whatever wall's in front of you, it's worth the climb. It's absolutely worth the climb. Now, there's some things through that I always try to help people understand because people ask me, how did you get through all this?" Well, and the story doesn't end there, though. Let me keep going real quick. So my kidneys lasted 20 years, as I said. So my sister was a match, and I was gonna get her kidney. Now, at the time, I've got 45 plus employees. I've got a business I'm running. And remember the mindset that my dad kind of instilled in me was kind of dust it off and keep going. And that's really the way I was still doing things, right? I mean, half the people that worked in our company didn't even know I was sick, but I would go from 4:30 in the morning to 9 to a dialysis 3 days a week, and then go into the office and try to act like nothing was wrong, and I mean, I was absolutely exhausted, and I will tell you this, and I don't know whatever, faith is to whoever's listening, when whoever a dialysis center is a hopeless place. And I encourage people when you go by a dialysis center, just say a quick prayer or something. But that dialysis center is full of people that are just think about that. They're just waiting on someone to donate an organ that matches them. They hope before their time expires. And
Mm.
so I always just encourage people to really think about those people that are in the dialysis center because it's a really special place. But so my sister was in line I was to get her kidney. At the last minute, they came back and said, "Hey, there's a couple of things with her kidneys that I don't think would be a good match because of this and that." So we chose not to go that route. And then my wife, who saw me really struggling through this, said, "You know what, Ty, I'm going to go in and I'm going to donate my kidney." And then because she told me she had a completely different blood type. He said, "But I'm gonna go in and donate my kidney, and then somebody else can when we give a kidney, maybe they'll give a kidney back that matches me." And so she did that. She went to go get tested, and she called me that day, and she says, "Ty," and she's absolutely crying. And I'm like, "What is wrong?" And she says, "I don't know," but she said, I match you perfectly."
Whoa.
I was like, "What?" I said, "I thought you was a different blood type." And
Yeah.
I think she forgot what kind of which blood type she was. But anyway, she was a perfect match. So you know, to shorten the story, about 8 weeks later, we go into surgery and I receive my wife's kidney. So what an amazing story to get through it. I live a beautiful life now. I live better now, and I feel better now than I have ever. And I'm able to spend time with my daughters. I have 2 daughters, and the cool thing was is I didn't know, if when I was telling you, I didn't know if I'd see my 6-year-old ever again. Well, the cool thing was last month I got to walk her down the aisle.
Oh, yay. Oh my gosh.
It was this has been a dream come true for me. And I just want to say is whatever we're dealing with, whatever's in front of us, please look at it and I hope I can encourage you. And here's 3 quick steps that I want to tell you. Because this is where I think people ask me, as I mentioned earlier, how do you get through that time? And I hope these are where, if you got a pen, write it down because it's nothing long, but it's something really simple. Step 1 is my question I ask myself: do I want to grow or die? And when I say die, do I wanna let my dream go, my purpose, my why, my family, my daughters? Do I wanna let that go? So when I run into this wall, when I see this wall in front of me, do I wanna get better or am I gonna let this win? So it's what we do, right? Number 2 is hope or despair. And this is how we think. Am I gonna be a positive thinker or am I gonna poor pitiful me? I mean, I'm the victim. Why does everything happen to me? Or am I gonna be hopeful and go, you know what? And this is the way we think. The third step is humor or drama.
Mhm. I
And
like
this is
that
how
one.
we talk.
Mhm.
Right? And here's what the easy thing is if you do the little small steps, and we can grow or die, hope or despair, humor or drama. What we do, think, and talk is going to keep our mind positive. And when
Yeah.
we have a positive mind, it's amazing what we can do.
Mhm.
You know, our and I will tell you, our mind is so powerful. There's no money that we can go. We don't need any, I'm not telling you go out and buy any tools, any medication. You don't need a dime. You have every tool you need equipped with you right now. And so those are my 3 steps. And I'm so sorry I went long winded. I want to, I'm so passionate about this, but I mean, simply take a small step and think about what am I going to do? How am I going to think? And how am I going to talk? And then it'll help our mind get positive.
Yeah, absolutely. No, you do not have to apologize because I love it when people get into their passion talk and they share the things. And so, yeah, no, it's awesome.
Yeah,
I
so
want,
it's really cool though. I mean, I hope that makes sense to somebody out there, and somebody can take that and use it.
yeah, I think there's so much to walk away with that, and I want to explore a little bit of that with you,
Sure.
especially when you mentioned about, packing your bags and not knowing if you were going to come back or not, and that decision of having to make that one way or the other. You kind of know, what could potentially happen. But one thing I've found, not only in my own life, but also in a lot of people that I know or work with, is this real difficulty in sitting with the unknowns. Like sitting with the unknown of an outcome or understanding why this is playing out the way it is. And I'm just wondering if you can speak to any part of your story or what you take with this, or how do we become okay with being in the unknowns?
You know, and for me, you're right. We live in, we have to, we live a lot and we take a lot of steps with the unknown. I mean, not knowing what's ahead of us. I mean, in this world we live in today, I always say, well, there's a lot of unknowns, you know, uh, but I think when we can control what we can control and we stay in that lane, um, I would say, with me, it was just the why. Go back to our why. Why wouldn't I want to take the step forward instead of just falling into, or giving up, I guess is a lack of a better word. Because of my why, because of my daughters, my wife, my family, my, uh, whatever it may be to them, find your why, find your purpose, put a picture in front of something, whether it be your pet. I don't know what it is. It could be anything to a lot of people, but whatever it is that's driving them, that gets them up every day. And if you don't have that, then we need to find it.
Mhm.
You need to
Yeah.
find it, because I feel like we have it, and we go back to our positive thinking, and but the unknown to me in my case is just um, if I think of the unknown as being a positive and thinking it's going to be positive, and then instead of thinking negative, it's all going to be doom and gloom, then the unknown's okay to me because I've got a positive outlook and a positive mind, and you'll be absolutely amazed how much a positive thinking you can create a lot with your own mind.
Mhm. Yeah, everything. And Viktor Frankl has a great quote in his book, Man's Search for Meaning, where he says, "A man who has a why can get through any how." And it's
It's a great
really
quote.
true. It's like you have to have a reason, no matter what season of life or what experience you're walking through. And one of the things I'm so passionate about when we talk about passion, but one thing I've really, really begun to like fully understand is like how powerful our mind really is. Like you said, we create what we want to experience, and we almost get surprised, I think, when we're like, why are things like not working out, or why am I struggling, or why do I feel this way, is because of all that inner dialogue that you're having with yourself all the time, and not being consciously aware or accountable of like your thoughts. And it's just, yeah, you have all the power within you, but you have to be able to recognize that and to reconcile it, that like, okay, the way I'm speaking to myself is causing all this to come into to fruition.
So true, so true, and I love listening to people like you that obviously um, that work in the field, and understand it a lot more than I do. It's just me, and this is my experience, right? So I love people that study it and learn it more. And I'm trying to learn more and more about it because it's been such an impact in my life. But you're right, the mind is. I mean, we can do a lot with it, and again, there's no price tag on it other than a mirror. Go look in the mirror and make it happen.
Yes. Yeah, go have like, record the conversation happening in your head and play it back and see,
That's
like,
right.
"Ugh, is
I mean,
that
I
really
talk,
what I want?"
this sounds crazy, but I talk to myself all the time. I've got to encourage myself a lot through things like, I we laugh about these. Find little things to remind you. I mean, I've got this right here. Do think talk right here. I have these. I have them in my It's just a reminder, and and I go around talking on this stuff,
Yeah.
but I still need reminders. I mean, we're all human, and I'm gonna today. I'll probably run in somewhere where I've got to put this in place. I need to take that and use it. So I encourage people just to put whatever it is, their why and their steps. That hopefully that the way they do think and talk. Um, to do small steps or whatever that is to help you get through it. But that wall is in front of you. You can climb it with the tools you have right now.
Yeah, I mean, you can even choose to see it as not even a wall anymore. It's just like a curb you're
Yeah,
walking over,
that's
you
right.
know?
And be above before long, right? That's right. You just got
Yeah, exactly.
that's right. Well, and I
Yeah.
love that, the quote, there's that quote out there. If we get 1% better every day, just think about that. If we can find one small thing and sometimes it's overwhelming when people say, oh, just go, you got to go just get positive, be a positive thinker. Well, that's a really general step. Let's find some small wins every day. And then you're going to look back and go, wow, look at all I've achieved. So don't try to overthink it is what I would encourage. Just take a small step today, a small step right now. Take a step to think about what you're going to do right now that's going to help you be a positive thinker, be a, or what it would be, are you going to grow or die? How are you going to talk and think and do? And you just, in those small little steps, you'll be amazed at what you can achieve.
Yeah, and I love what you're speaking to is like the instant you become aware and the instant you decide to think something different or tell yourself something different, that's when the immediate shift happens.
Yeah.
It's not like one of those, well, take two and then follow up in 3 weeks. It's like, no, you're going to see the shift immediately. It immediately starts to impact you.
Well, and this is another thing I would say actually is don't wait. I'm one to talk about, and I can talk about this because I do. I always say, "Oh, you know what? When I get to this point, I will do that." Or when the weather's better, I'll start doing this. Or when I, earn that. No, this has no tools needed. You can do it right now. Don't wait. Wait is an enemy, and we just can't don't let waiting because again, it's not like we've got to raise money to do this. Again, this is up to you. And so I encourage people to go do it. And again, guys, I am not talking from I don't want to sit up here and say this is how to do it. I'm right here with y'all. I did it, and that's why I've got a PhD in experience. That's about you know. So I just that's why I wanted to share. And be honest, I what was pretty wild is I didn't even tell this. I didn't even talk about this for the longest because again, back to my childhood where you don't talk about it. But just a couple of years ago, my wife said, "Ty, would you share this story with some of?" It was at a family reunion, an extended family reunion of hers, and she said, "Would you?" They want to hear about it. I said, "I guess if they want to hear my problems, I'll be glad to share." But what happened was when I went and told that on the way home that night, I got 4 or 5 texts that said, "Hey, thanks for sharing. I'm going to go be an organ donor." And I thought at that moment, how selfish am I if I could simply tell my story and help others? So, and I say that because a lot of times you just need to share some of the things that you're going through. And I will tell you, talking to others about yours is therapy for you. And it helps me all the time now to talk about my story.
Yeah. Well, we heal together. Like nobody heals in isolation. And it's interesting that you bring that up because I was just reflecting on this yesterday of like we're so strongly looking for that connection with other people, especially now in a world or I mean we have all this incredible technology, but I mean in a lot of ways we're more disconnected than ever before.
So true.
But we're looking for that deep connection with one another, but then we feel this real resistance or hesitancy to do that. And I was thinking, I was like, man, I think this is coming from a place of fear. Like it's a place of what are they going to think of my story or what are they going to think of this situation or how are they going to receive me or am I going to feel accepted or am I going to feel judged by
Right.
the end of this? But what I hear you speaking to, and I can't echo strongly enough, is just do the thing. just share your story and have that, like, being okay with however people receive it, and it doesn't really matter at the end of the day anyways, but, like, how powerful, even in your story, that it impacted so many people, and that's what always happens. Like, that's the crazy part is, like, it's usually, maybe we'll say 9.5 times out of 10 more impactful than it is, like, not impactful. So I think we are actually doing ourselves a disservice by not sharing and not
You're right.
talking, and so I love that you brought that up.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's like you, and I think you mentioned it, the world we live in is tough. And I think it takes, all of us to put our arms and lock arms and around each other and help us through it, right? I mean, it's part of, um, and when people think they can do it alone, I think it's when we really run into struggles.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree. Is it causes a lot more suffering when you think you're doing it
Yeah,
on your own, and
for sure.
yeah, definitely.
For sure.
Well, I was wondering if you could speak to a little bit about, this is gonna be a very random question, but also, like,
Okay.
my own curiosity around this is, when I was looking and reading over your stuff, you had mentioned how you started off your journey working for Disney, and I was like, "Whoa, that sounds interesting." So I wonder if you could
Yeah,
share that or talk a little bit about how that was for you.
it was really cool. And yes, and thank you for asking it. I It was really kind of wild. I am a marketing and graphic design major. I've always loved art. I love art but I also have loved just graphic design and marketing and all that good stuff. But I had the opportunity right out of college to go do an internship, which is really cool. And I hope it's called the college program is where I started, and you go there, but it's the coolest thing. And here was the thing that was really interesting. I had never been to Disney as a
Nice.
kid. And I got this opportunity and I, call home. I'm in college and I call home and I was telling my parents that, hey, here's an opportunity and they're like, my dad was like, son, you ought to really look into that. He said, Disney is an amazing company and, just what you can learn from it. Cause I'm thinking, in my mind, I'm like, I don't want to go work in a park and, but gosh, and I'm so thankful I went because I got to the college program and you're gonna laugh. They put you through so many things. So I got to work in different parts, but I did work in the park, and guess what? I had the best job did at Disney World. So um and if you have you gone to Disney? Are you a Disney fan?
Yeah, yes, I'm still a Disney fan. Mhm.
Okay, so you're gonna get a kick out of this. So my first job at Disney, I was the jungle crew. I worked for the jungle cruise. I was a
Oh,
skipper.
man, how fun.
So I was the guy that told all the stupid jokes on the boat when the hippos and the alligators would come out and all that. So that was me. That was
Oh,
my
awesome.
while I was working my college intern, and we did. But in the meantime, we learned different things throughout the program and the way the company worked. And then when the internship was over, I got an opportunity to go work in the marketing group over there. So that was really cool. So I did. I got to work in the marketing and the kind of the graphics group. Imagineers is what they call it and it was amazing, and I learned so much about it. And I just but I'll tell you the opportunity to learn from that was really good. But being a Texas guy, and I wanted to get back home, and I always had the dream of kind of doing my own thing. But that's really what led me to our companies, because the companies I came back and we started part of what we went through in the marketing at Disney was part of the print and marketing and all that. So I got to see it. So when I came back to Texas, I opened up a printing company and a sign company, and we did that for years. And then I was able to take my graphics, marketing, printing, and all this from Disney and bring it in to my love for sports. And our company is called Waterboy Graphics, and we do graphics around athletic stadiums and stuff throughout the country. So
Wow.
that's kind of how we started, but it all moved back to my intern at Disney, and I'm very appreciative of that. And it was amazing time, and the people. that you meet at Disney is, I mean, I still keep in touch with a lot of those guys, and it's just, it was an amazing, amazing run.
How cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always am curious about it. My sister-in-law, she did the college program there
Yeah.
as well too, and so it's just fun to hear, and it's a cool experience, and yeah, I mean, I know of Walt, like, an amazing visionary and, like, never-ending possibility, so it's kind of a cool link
Yeah.
to even what we've been talking about
It
today,
was.
but very
But,
cool.
it's a place that's where people are happy, right? And I always say that, it's a it was really neat to see what being at your right environment, how it can change people's minds, and I bring that back to wherever we are, bring it back to our homes and our offices and our in our lives, current life. Sometimes we've got to look at we've got to what is our environment? What is that creating and what is that putting on us, right? Because that affects our positive thinking a lot of times.
Mhm.
Because
Yeah, there
go ahead.
no, sorry, you go.
No, because I mean, but it was just because at places like Disney, you see where what people just drop whatever's going on in their world, and it just becomes a place of they dream for a while, which was so cool, which was
Oh,
so
yeah.
cool. And I try to bring that back to what we're dealing with and in everyday world, right? We're not at Disney World. Mickey Mouse is not there, but how do we bring that positive thinking back to where in our environment?
Mhm. Yeah, it reminds me of this quote of, like paraphrasing a bit, but how we should create a life that we don't need a vacation from is that, like a lot of people, and I used to see it this way too with vacation is like, oh, I can't wait to just get on vacation and like have a break. And which that is nice, but, like, what if you had a life that you didn't need to
Yeah,
create a vacation?
that's right.
Like, that's totally, the mindset and creating the reality that you live in,
Right.
and, yeah, it's so like, waking up to that realization changes everything for people.
Absolutely. Yeah, it
Oh,
does. It
man.
does. But, I mean, I encourage people, through positive thinking just to, find quotes, find things that motivate you. I mean, you've brought out several good quotes, but things that help them remind them of being positive and put yourself in an environment. Try to get your environment to be, to help you stay in that state because we're not going to stay there, but we need the tools. It's amazing to me, and as I've gotten dove into more and more of this, of how many tools are out there for all of this stuff, right? I mean, we got tools for this, tools for that, but we don't really think about tools for our mind, our personal, our positive thinking, and we need those. What makes you think you need tools for everything else except the most powerful tool we have, which is our mind? So, find a way, chalkboard or a piece of paper or little notes. You'd laugh. I mean, I am an artist and I draw and I got stuff all over but I mean, like this right here. I got this one sitting right here. It says the positive mindset turns obstacles into opportunities. I mean, this is a little scratched.
Cool. Yeah. I
You know
like
what I'm
that.
saying? I mean,
Yeah.
these are things that we need to just remind ourselves, and whatever that looks like for you. you know, um, find a way to create, whether you may write it on a wristband or write it, whatever that looks like. It's just
Mhm.
something that will remind you on your mirror in the mornings, whatever you do.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you put your attention on, you focus, you move
Yes,
towards
that's right.
that, so we might as well. I'm
So true.
curious of, like, in the work that you do and a lot of public speaking that you do as well, do you ever run into that person that comes at you on the other side and is saying, "Oh, Ty, like, you're just that toxic positivity type. You don't have a check with reality." Do you ever run into that situation?
I do, and I have, and that's okay. I mean, because when I first started doing this, I was like, that was my number one. I don't want to come across as that toxic, positive, rah 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 guy, because my deal is, and that's where I try to stay authentic. This is my story. This is what I've lived. I'm not just going out quoting, grabbing everybody and say, we ought to do this, we all do this. What I'm saying is from my experience, from my true life and through my experiences in life, these are things that work for me, and I just want to share it with them. So it may not be for everybody. And I've had people that, oh, you live that, you worked at Disney and you got, you did this and you started a business. You know what? But I had every reason in the world not to do those two, but I chose to try to stay on the positive side, and I've been able to do them. It's not as gonna be as easy for everybody, and it's not gonna be as hard for everybody, 'cause my path was definitely not I didn't come from, what I guess silver spoon type child where like I was given I didn't. I mean, my parents worked hard for what they earned, and um, but I'm just sharing my story, and my positivity and what works for me, because I get it all the time. I mean, I got guys that go, "How in the world are you really positive after everything you've been through?" Well, it's a choice. It's absolutely a choice. I mean, I choose to, while I'm on this earth, is I'm gonna make the best of what I've got, right? Some of those little, just cliche type quotes, but they're real if you really dive into them. I mean, why not make it a positive place, right? I
Hmm.
mean, we're here. We're gonna be here. We're gonna be, find the, that old saying again that you kind of are the five people you surround yourself with. Well, try it. It may be a little quote, it may be a little saying, but you know what? Try it. See how it works.
Yeah.
I mean, why not? We're here. Let's make it positive. Are we gonna grow or are we gonna die? Don't
Hmm.
lose hope of those dreams. And I was talking to I told you I adopted my daughter. She's 15 now. And we got her at birth, which was amazing. But I mean, I was just, it was real the other night. She's a goalkeeper for the varsity soccer team now, right? And she had a game that was really rough. And we were just going through. I mean, life is life, but and we could have said, yeah, you missed that goal, and you should have jumped higher for this one or jumped faster. But you know what? We went through it, encouraged, we helped each other through it, and I was coaching her up in positivity mindset, and she was fine, but we had a choice there. I could have said, "Yeah, it was a horrible game, let's get home and, if you need to go to bed, we'll try it again tomorrow," No, I mean, it was encouraging, we talked through it, was positive. Hey, we did our best. It doesn't always work, but you know what? Here's what we're gonna try tomorrow. We're gonna get up and we're gonna be thankful we're here, for one, and then two, we're gonna do our best. We'll try again tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I mean, we got a choice, and you're right. There's that's out there about being that toxic positive person, and I mean they can call me whatever they want, in my opinion, but I mean it works for me, and I'm just trying to share that with others.
Hmm. Yeah, I appreciate a lot what you speak to of like you always have the choice. And tell myself that and other people I work with too, of like we always have the power to choose again.
Yeah,
Like you always do. And yeah, I think a lot of those sometimes I think I get that feedback in different ways as well too. Is like, well, like you don't understand my circumstance, or like how could this situation be positive at all? And it's because I'm choosing to see it that way. Like there is, like you said, no options, no other option to do that, because I know what the other option feels like, and the other option feels like pain and suffering and hopelessness and all those kinds of things. Is why would we on any in level of sanity choose that? Like, so it's a very basic decision, but yeah, like you, I just kinda let it go. I chose not to own it anymore, care. You can call me toxic positive if you want, but I know it's actually more about you than it is about me, so
that's so right. I mean, sometimes people, like we said, I mean, everybody's not going to agree, and we all have different minds and different ways, choices we made. Sometimes and sometimes I feel like those people are the ones that are really listening to you the most.
Mhm.
I
Yep.
really do sometimes. I feel like, because I've had a couple of people that have come, ask me why do I do what I do, but they're also the ones that that reach out to me all the time and dive into some of the questions of why, what about this and what about that. So I really believe a lot of times those people are really, it's a form of them trying to find out how do I become more. I want to do some of this stuff, but I have this wall right now.
Yeah. Well, I have really valued this conversation, and I know people are going to walk away with so many good practical things to do as soon as now, in this very moment, to start shifting things. But I would love for you to be able to connect people back to you and where they can find you. I know you like to do a lot of speaking things and get out there and share your message and serve your mission. So, where can people get in touch with you? How can they reach out? Give us all the details.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the best way is just tygipson.com, and that's TYGIP as in Paul, SON.com. And that's got on there, that's got all my social media. It's got my No Options podcast, which is on Spotify and Apple. It's got, you can you can find me there on YouTube. I have a YouTube channel as well. But I would, on my website, it's got my email and it's got my cell phone. Good, for God's sake, if somebody wants to have questions, again, I want to help one or as many as I can. So if somebody has a question, call me, text me. I'd love to communicate with them. And I'd love if there's any opportunities to speak in front of groups or whatever organizations it looks like. I'm available, and I would love to do that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, we are supporting you definitely in your mission, and everyone listening, get connected with Ty and support his podcast, No Options. And we just really, really appreciate your time and what you're doing and your mission that you're serving.
Thank you. And I'd love, if people go follow that, I would really appreciate that. I think it's helpful to get the word out more. But thank you for what you're doing too. And I do appreciate what you do and the people that you're reaching, because I think together, like we said, this world's a hard place. And I think people like you and others that are helping that, it's going to take a lot of us. So I appreciate what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're all doing the work together. So
That's right. That's
yeah.
right.
Well, thank you, everyone, to those of you who dove into our conversation today. And I know you're going to walk away with a lot of good stuff. So if you know somebody who would value from this conversation, which, if we're honest, really everyone can value from this, is please share this episode. Help us get people connected with Ty and what he is doing. But we also here at Sit Around the Fire appreciate you and your likes. Make sure you get on YouTube to subscribe, follow us there, and leave us a comment, because we're always looking at and diving into the comments too. So if you need any extra support, we are always here for you, and we look forward to sitting around the fire with you again very soon.